Hello everyone, SC Knife Guy here, and what we got today is a nice Manly Peak from Bulgaria, and oh man, I'm excited to open this thing up. And I can't wait to see what we got here. Well, let's open it up, shall we? It comes in G10 black and steel. Let's see here. Oh man, this is nice. More than what I hoped for. Oh wow, look at that G10. Looks like it comes with some extra tools here if you want to take it apart. And oh, that'll be really handy if you do get it a little wet inside or whatnot. At least you have the tools to open her up and dry her out in the nice warm sun. And it also comes with a little card here showing where it's from, where it was made. It's got a little warranty on the back showing it's a lifetime warranty, which is awesome. Made by Manly, Bulgaria. And then you open it up, there's some information on the knife here. And that's really handy, especially knowing what the material is and the resistance and everything else. And these are actually handmade, put together there, and it just shows you that they're willing to go the extra step there. Just opening up your knife and seeing somebody actually put some of their own handwriting on there is really cool. And we'll get into a nice little review of this bad boy. So what do we have in this little box today? Well, we have the Manly Peak, a pretty darn cool knife that I was kind of surprised that I bought myself. I was kind of just browsing online and I didn't even know this company existed. I was, you know, I know all the big ones, Leatherman, Swiss Army knives, Benchmade, Hogue or Boker. You know, those ones are really nice. And I like their brands and CRKT and so on and so forth. But then I stumbled upon Manly here and seen this there. And at first glance, I was like, yeah, you know, I don't really think I need it. But as all knife collectors know, you kind of get past that whole, I don't think I need a thing and just buy it. So I got it and I'm actually super impressed with this thing. It's getting into the steel there. It's a D2 steel and it's got a nice, it was stone washed and it has really nice little spot marks in it. It's a tool steel, and the steel is actually used in dies to cut other steels out and different types of metals and whatnot. And it's a nice hard steel. The Rockwell hardness is coming in at about 69 to 61, so it's a super hard steel. That can also be kind of a bad thing because it could chip a little easier just because it does have that hard factor. Going on to if it's corrosion resistant or not, it's very low on the corrosion resistant scale. But with this type of steel, as long as you know keep it dry, you're not putting it away wet, and you know making sure, let's say you submerge it in water, you know set it down open and just let it kind of dry out in a nice dry climate, you'll be all right. But other than that, the steel is really nice. For sharpening, it's gonna keep an edge really nicely, but for sharpening it's gonna be a little bit more on the harder side to sharpen this D2 steel. The actual grind type on this is a nice grind. It's a full flat grind. So basically that means that they go from the top here and they grind all the way down. There's no bevels or anything. And so they grind it all the way down and then they just sharpen the edge here. And that makes for a super slicer. This thing will pretty much slice through anything. And as far as how big this thing is, it's actually a pretty beefy knife. And it's coming in around, the blade length itself is 94 millimeters or 3.7 inches. And opened itself is about 8.5 inches. Closed, close her up here, she's running at 4.8 inches or 124 millimeters. And to give it a quick size comparison, I'm going to set it aside with the Leatherman Charge Plus here. So the blade is super big. One of the biggest things that I'm liking about this knife, really liking about it, because it is classified as your everyday carry or EDC, is the weight is only 115 grams. So it's really light. It has a lot to do with your nice G10 handles here and the weight as well. If you look inside there, we have some machining done here, or milling done, and the liner is stainless steel underneath, but you have that little milling here that makes a huge difference in the actual weight of the knife itself. Now moving on here, we'll talk about the handle a little bit. It's got a really nice look to it. We'll close her on up here, and the handle of it, it's all G10, and if you can see here, it's got some really nice scaling. I kind of thought, you know, picking up this knife for the first time, that this was going to be a little bit more slippery, but that can't be further from the truth. It actually, with this nice little grooving here in the G10, you have some nice little superior grip on there. And also, there's some jimping up here for your finger, so your finger doesn't slip up, and it holds really well. Like, you can grab onto it and slap the butt of it, and it's not going anywhere. Even with, you know, sweaty hands or wet hands, I'm sure it should stay in hand pretty good. The screws are nice, and talking about it earlier there, it came with its own, in the box here, it came with its own pair of, I think they're hex screws. So that's really nice if you want to take it apart for maintenance wise. And on the back we have a nice, and this is what kind of sold me a little bit on it. If you watch some of my other videos, I absolutely love the full conceal pocket clip, and it goes all the way up. It's a tip up, so you can pull it out of your pocket and just like that. So tip up, and unfortunately that's the only way you can have this, is tip up. But the cool thing about the pocket clip itself is it's got the hole here, so you can use the tools they supplied with you in the box and take this off, and you have a nice little plate covering it on the other side here, so you can take this off, switch the plate over, and have the pocket clip on this side as well. So it's a little bit more ambidextrous that way. Now moving into the locking mechanism. I love these locking mechanisms. It's a back lock, and you just press down, and basically a back lock means there's a little bit of a cutout here, and this portion of the back lock is kind of L-shaped, and it just grabs in just like that. And it has to be one of the strongest knife locks out there compared to, let's say, a frame lock. So coming on to one of my next questions here, how is the feel in hand when it comes to this knife? Well, as I mentioned before, this thing is actually surprisingly grippy, and it doesn't have any finger choils, or like, it's got this here if you want to kind of get back of the knife a little bit there, but it really doesn't have anything impressive as far as, you know, thumb holes or finger choils or anything like that. It's just kind of straight on the back, but it's fairly comfortable. These here, the jimping on the front here, it helps to keep your finger from riding up there, like I said, but it doesn't cut you. And it's surprisingly, like, if you look at it here, it's cut out really nicely, and it is sharper, but it's not going to dig into the hand whatsoever. It's just going to add that extra grip. The pocket clip on here, if you hold up around here, it's not going to do anything to your hand. Back here you can feel it a little bit if you wanted to, like, chop, but I wouldn't chop with this. But as far as the pocket clip goes, it's not digging in whatsoever, and this knife actually feels pretty darn decent in hand. And how is the action of the actual knife, you might ask? Well, what we have here is kind of like a oval here that somewhat mimics the Spidey hole, they call it, like on the Spyderco knives. But it is its own thing because it is a little bit of an oval there. But you dig your thumb into it and snap back just like that. It's not bad, but it's not the best action I've ever used on a knife. Compared to something like the CRKT M16 here, this thing is just 1,000 times different. This is more of a stiffer action, whereas I don't know if a little bit of play will loosen that up a little bit, but it doesn't look like they have any bushings in there. It's just kind of metal on metal, so you don't have that much ease, but once it's open it does feel nice. And I'm starting something a little bit newer on this channel, and I'm gonna give these guys my own personal rating, and I am abbreviating it as the LAFE, and what that entails is the look and finish, action, feel, and EDC capability. And it is it's my own opinion and how I actually feel of the knife, and you know, everybody else is entitled to theirs for sure. But as far as we go here, what do I think of the look and finish? I'll give the look and finish an 8 out of 10. I really like this knife. It's a beautiful knife. The look of the actual D2 steel is phenomenal. I really like that with the stone wash, and the G10 handles really caught my eye. It just a really cool knife. And what about the action? What would I rate the action itself? Well, seeing how I just showed you guys the M16 and how cool that action is, I probably give this thing about a 4 out of 10. Pretty low for the actual action, just because it is so stiff. But the only thing and reason why it gets the 4 out of 10 is because you got this nice big thumb hole here to open her up. Feel in hand, how would I rate it? Feel in hand, well, I'd say about a 6 out of 10. It feels fairly nice. It's not bad, but it's not the most comfortable knife I've ever held, that's for sure. But it is very practical. And what about EDC capability? Oh geez, I would, weighing in at about 115 grams, I would give this guy an 8 out of 10. An absolute 8 out of 10. This is super light, super nice in the pocket. It is a little bigger for an EDC, but just because of the fact that it is a little skinnier, it fits in the pocket nice. It's got a nice, really nice pocket clip. It, as I mentioned, it is a low ride pocket clip, so gotta love that. Completely conceals it. So just because of the weight alone, this thing, you can barely feel it in your pocket. 8 out of 10. And thank you guys very much for watching my video on this nice little manly peek here. If you liked this video and found it handy, like and subscribe, and don't forget to leave a comment below. Have a great day, guys.